My name is a guy called Gerald, and I do crossover between synthesizer sequencing and kind of playing DJ style type stuff. I will be covering like how I play live, how I jam, and try to show it in a simple way. I'll be talking a little bit, maybe like throw in like the odd tune, like which is going to be like separated into little bits and pieces so I can solo things out, and basically just casual conversation explaining some experiences I've had.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, people. Like what I'm going to show you is like how I would approach doing live. Well, it's kind of live in a way because it's sequenced, most of it, but semi-live. Like, and also, I've made everything so that I can go into a situation like, and I actually have done impromptu. I could just like jump in, and all I would have to do is give a stereo feed to whoever, preferably not to another DJ mixer. I mean, it would be nice to go to a line mixer or like a out, front of house desk or something like that. But anyway, this is the setup I usually use because nowadays, I mean, most people turn up with a memory stick, and I think like spinning from one CDJ to another CDJ, they call that live. So it confuses the hell out of me. And like in the late 80s and the early 90s, I used to turn up with like bags and bags full of drum machines and stuff like that. But like, you need like acres and acres of space for that kind of thing. So like what I'm using is Reason on one computer, and I'm using Reason on the other computer, and I've got them going into a Rain MP15 mixer via USB. So it's like all digital. And like on the Rain, you've got like this crossover at the top, which basically is like my favorite thing in the world because I can kind of tune the mixer to nearly any type of sound. I mean, like speaker system or whatever, like in some clubs, the speakers are set in one way, and obviously it's in another way. And like with this, I can kind of mold it into the sound that I want more than with any other kind of mixer that I've used. I've actually gone from using like a big mixing desk. Sometimes I use a mixing desk like a Midas or something like that. If I'm doing if it's a gig where they've actually said they want, well, I've got three types of gigs that I would do. One is just like a supposedly like DJ type gig, and this is like the middle gig I do called Live in Session, which I use two laptops and sometimes varied like synths and stuff like that. And then I have another gig I'd call Live in Analog, where everything is totally analog. And for that, I would use the Midas, and I would go in basically maybe mono or stereo, depending on the drum machines or keyboards or whatever, and use things in an individual way. But you would need much more space. But this is like a scaled down version of that. What I can say is that this is something that has been kind of born out of me wanting to still do gigs, so it was like needs must kind of thing. It's something that I've over the years. I mean, I used to get laughed at by some people because I would turn up with an MPC 60 and like 5 KS 950s or S1000s and think that was portable. And then someone would turn up with a laptop at the same time. I'm talking about like 2000, probably 2001, something like that. And I thought it was really cool because I sampled all my drum machines and I'd put them in the MPC 60, and I got all my strings and sounds in the samplers. That was the future. But anyway, so this is what that's boiled down into, that situation. But there are some people that like want you to sweat, so they want all the knobs and bells and whistles and But like you can do similar things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should try and play some stuff for you. I don't know. I'm not sure how that will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick of hearing my voice. I could sing too, do an a cappella. So let me see, what could we I'll just play. This has been automated actually already, but this is don't know why. I'm turning it down there. Can you hear that? All right. But basically, what I'm going to try and do is slowly turn the bass up so that it's not too. So I'm going to do that with a crossover on here. This track actually starts off pretty thin anyway before it kicks in. Sure if that's bassy or I can't hear what's going on out there. It's all right. It's all okay. I'm not going to talk too much, but like this is the kind of thing that I would do on a regular desk. I mean, you could get rid of the automation. Try not to spoil the groove, sorry. I'm going to ask, there's a little bit of feedback coming from the microphone, but it should be all. I'm going to ask if there's any questions, just signal to this fella and he will tell me to stop. Otherwise, I'm just going to like jam away here and it doesn't really... One of the things that I do with this system is there's very little syncing going on. 'Cause some people do ask me that. So everything is basically kind of like similar to how a DJ would probably do the beat matching thing. I've got it a little bit easier because all this stuff is pretty tight. So like all I do is I type in the BPM, and then I've got to get it on the mark, and then and it's in. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a little bit like dancing in a way. You know what I mean? But I tend not to try to sync things up because it's already mechanical. This mixer has 2 sound cards built into it, like USB sound cards, and a really beautiful, almost analog kind of filter. This is a totally digital mixer, by the way, and like everything that I'm doing is totally digital. Has been since the 80s. I mean, like the thing about audio files, I don't know. If you move them around, I'm not sure, I'm really old fashioned, but like if you move them around in time, won't they start to distort and stuff? Like I know like people that have used Ableton, actually I'm not telling you what artist it is, but I've seen an artist once and they, most of them, they do like 1 hour gigs. So they've got like this 1 hour sound file like this, you know what I mean? It's like, and like you're playing like just after them, and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. Can you play a bit more, please? Just got to go to the toilet. You know what I mean? But yeah, like if you stretch some of them files, especially the lower frequencies, start to kind of get this like weird kind of rumbly, crusty thing that happens, and so I basically from. Like I learned from this little kid in a studio. His name was Lee Monteverdi. He was a guy that helped me to do Voodoo Ray. Actually, we did it in this studio called Moonraker in Manchester. And he's I think he was a Pet Shop Boys fan, and he was into like cleaning fucking everything. You know what I mean? Like we had 16 channels like to record with, and he had like a separate channel for every single thing. Like sort of hi-hats and and he would gate the hi-hats and basically make sure everything was really clean we would record all that down on the tape before we started to treat anything or EQ or anything. So everything, the first thing was getting everything on tape, but as clean as possible. And then after we got it on tape as clean as possible, then we could start to treat it. Because like if you imagine if there was a little hiss or a nip or something at the end of a hi-hat or a snare, that would be like amplified during the mix in the process of trying to, add reverb or whatever you do to it. So like basically the first process was to get everything as clean as possible. So I've kind of taken that kind of as my kind of gospel, like try and keep everything as separate as possible. Some things I can't keep, like break beats and stuff like that. But even though I still try and keep it like in reason. There's this program. It's called. It's not Redrum. It's I'm selling reason to people, Dr. Rex, but it's just, I use this all the time. It comes with me on the aeroplane, it comes with me everywhere, and it's called Dr. Rex or Dr. Octarex, right? And like basically, like in the early days, this company, Propellerheads, that they had this other program called Recycle, and that used to work really well with what's it called, Akai. Yeah. You could throw stuff across. You know what I mean? And like, so this was like, as well as like the time stretching, you had this thing. So it would key group stuff for you basically. So you could just like have these things in separate kind of places and do all. So I was bang into that. Because before that I was doing the key grouping stuff, but like this program was doing a load of stuff for you. So that's how I discovered like these people, and I wasn't using a computer for anything else but doing that. at first, and also I bought like a Soundtracks quartz desk, and like it had a thing so I could sync my desk with the MPC 60. So I would like basically try. That was in the early days, me locking stuff together. This is for me. This is an expansion of that. Anyway, I'm not sure if that's working properly. Anyway, so I'm gonna play some more kind of music because it's what I'm here to do. That's nice. There we go. Attempt to do, I don't know if you can still hear me, I'm going to attempt to do a jungle beeline from an old track called 28 Gun Bad Boys, but with the 303, well, the TB03. that part of the bass, I mean, it sounds really distorted and stuff, but yeah, it's actually coming from re-drum, which is also another part of Reason. The drums I've actually put in there myself and like treated and tuned. They're all separated, so I could actually, if I was working on another system, I could actually put them through separate like channels in a sound card. Basically, this system I could take on a flight with me. I could go from here to Australia. I've done it actually. Did a 5-hour gig, and then like a few days later, like came back, and it was like, wow, you know, I was in Australia doing a 5-hour gig, and like basically everything just fits in one box, and like boom, you're there, and it's not stuff that looks too dangerous to the people at the airport. So it's great.
This is very much like a slimmed down version, isn't it? Because I've seen videos of you with tabletops full of machines, whereas this is very much pulled together.
This is like that light.
Yeah.
It's the portable version of that. I mean, basically you still keep the versatility.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm sure like you're losing something a little bit in sound, but like also like it's hard to go from a jungle track into like an acid track or vice versa, just using that stuff. It's possible.
Yeah.
But like this way you can actually keep everything kind of flowing and on the right sound systems, you know what I mean? You can really get like a nice situation going on. I'm gonna stop this amen because I know if you're not used to jungle, it's pretty annoying. But it's, you know, jungle is like one of the things that in a few years' time they're gonna go, wow, where did that come from? Oh yeah, that's from England. England? How did that come from England? Well, it was like tea and sausages and all that. Anyway, I'm going to try a different track. Let's try and I'm going to try and find a breakdown of Voodoo Ray that I've got in here because that's the only thing that anyone really knows anyway. So, where is that? That's of interest. Yes, I could actually. Yeah, like this thing here at the front is there's some Roland stuff here too.
Yeah.
By the way. And the reason I use the Roland stuff is because like I've basically grown up using it, so it's kind of pretty familiar to me, like some of the things. And they've gone and made like these really, I mean, like I think they've done this for me because, I mean, like I was like, wow, you know, like the SH101 is like it's pretty big and it's plastic and loads of things break off it and that. And then so they made like they made this what's it called? SH01 thing, and it's you know it fits in your pocket nearly. You know what I mean? It's like everything's biscuit size. It's like really, it's totally, you know, and yeah, there's a lot of people who actually, you know, they kind of like I know just like the analog and the right, but I'm not like a hi-fiist or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm bloke who like he's got his tracksuit on, he's got his like you know like since I was like 16, 17, I've had like 2 shopping bags full of like machines, so I know how much they weigh. And like walking around with them, like to, you know, from one studio to another like this in the rain. All right, mate, how are you doing? So I know, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, in fact, anyone that's like banging all the analog and they're like, you know, and they're sitting there and they're going, oh yeah, you know, it's like, right? I would say, okay, there's 2 big bags full of equipment, like walk all the way from Rusholme to the Arndale in Manchester with these bags and get there in time and then set everything up and teach some people how to make acid house with them. You know what I mean? I say, do that every day, you know what I mean? And then when they start going on about tape, I'll be like, okay, tell you what, there's a studio, like I want you to do a track. Before you do the track, there's a tape machine. Before you do anything on the tape machine, I want you to like de-ionize like the tape machine without killing any of the tapes and then cleaning it and everything else. And then you're gonna have to tune the actual machine so that everything is in line. And then I want you to put the tape on. Then I want you to stripe it with SMPTE. And now you can start your track for 5 minutes. Right. Oh, then you're gonna have to do another track. Actually, you're gonna have to do an album after that. So you want to do that after every single track. I want you to do that. It's like wax on, wax off. You know what I mean? And then like I'll be sat there with my laptop, like doing my tunes. I mean, I'm sorry, it's I don't want to start preaching, but like it's just after you've been through that a few times, it's just and it's about the quality of the music, And I think okay, like you sample some Stevie Wonder and and all these different producers, and people are like, oh, but it doesn't sound the same. It's because like they're toasting toast. It's like you're taking something that somebody's done and then you're putting it into a sampler and then you're looping it, and that's like. But like if you actually think of like what you can separate everything out, find your own instruments, like be inspired by the grooves of like the masters and stuff like that. And then like actually make your own music, like, or even just do a loop of one of their things, and then like, just like mimic the strings and stuff like that on separate channels underneath it. But like, just make sure everything's separated, and then treat it yourself. I think there's no harm in like actually having a go at like just focusing on stuff, stereo imaging like all your things, like imagining like an orchestra or something, and going, okay, like I want the cello like there, and then like there's ways of using reverb to actually position things like forward and backward and stuff like this. And you can do that on your phone nowadays. I mean, like it's such a dream. It's like this was something that I was trying to do. Like I remember. I seen the first groove box, and I was like, wow, I can actually, as soon as I get to the hotel, I can plug this in and like I'll be on my headphones. This is like, I never want to come out of the room or something like that. And these is like over the years, things have got to a stage where there's people who are producing the music and they don't even know they're born. You know what I mean? Seriously, there's like, you could download like all this stuff for like practically nothing. Like experiment with like synthesizers that have 5 million patches or all these sounds, and you can actually change and make your own things. I'm not saying that that's the be all and end all, but it's before you can actually get to the synth, you could actually understand like about like attack, decay, sustain, and release, and you can understand how to shape sounds yourself. You can understand how to sample things, and the class can be in your bedroom. You know what I mean? We had to like dream of like, okay, like how can I get enough money to get that synth and that sampler, and you know what I mean? And you go to someone's place and they're like, oh yeah, I just downloaded this thing just to use the presets. I'm like, oh. Presets are like, right, anyway, I'm just gonna play some I'm just gonna play music. Sorry, like I'm not sure if I'm coming across in any way or it sounds like anything, but like a lot of my war is that people don't actually realize how lucky they are with the stuff that they've got, and they kind of, I see a lot of complaining and like not as much kind of music. Anyway, I'm going to play some more music and stop complaining. I've been told I should just play music and not say a word by people. Hello, thank you. It's a little bit impromptu and all over the place, but thank you very much. You're so kind, thanks.
Yeah. So was that just a jam, or did you have a plan?
That's just jamming. Yeah, that's just actual jamming. I mean, like basically, if you can think of having loads of little bits that you can jigsaw together in different ways.
Yeah. I mean, were the Reason projects related? Because you had one going and then you were loading up something else.
Totally unrelated. I mean, basically, I have projects, like millions and millions of different projects that I'll just be on a doodles in a way. I mean, like I'm on a flight or on a train or somewhere, and like I just basically just get the computer out, put the headphones in, or I'll be at the studio and I'll work on a piece. Yeah. Or, so there's all sorts, and then I'll just copy them across to another one. Sometimes it's different versions of things that are going on, and so there's different skills.
It was really interesting because you set up another project, then you put in the BPM, as you said before, because your sync is kind of manually, because you say they're machines. So I thought that was a really interesting comment, because they're already going to run in time. Yeah. And all you have to do is trigger them at the right time. That's right. And then it seemed to become just about these machines, and then it went back out again.
Yeah, you can basically go anywhere you want, and I've actually missed out. Sometimes I have an iPad too that I had. So, and I didn't have time or anything, but like I've used to, in the old days, I would use like a sampler, like a S950 or 100 or S1000 or something like that, and like basically because you can't take these big chunky things with you anywhere. So like basically I have it's just like a Apple whatever, and as I use like Tractor Touch or whatever it's called. Okay, so it's like really malleable, and I've just packed it full of like acapellas, right? And like a lot of the acapellas actually old classic songs that people have sampled anyway. So I can find stuff that people are familiar with, and like just basically some. Like, meanwhile, stuff's running, I can like also throw a few samples in there, or even like an old track that someone might know, and just like do like a mashup re-edit of it over some of the stuff that I am kind of creating. Keeps you busy, What I mean?
It does.
It's always in development. It's as with like everything. It's morphing into, and I'm basically using the technology that's available for my kind of my little world of how I do it, and try to keep it so it's not too. I mean, like usually my rider, when they say technical rider, I ask for a table, and they're like, table, okay, what's that? And I'm telling you, like maybe it's too simple, because it is really hard to get a table for a gig that has not got any DJ equipment on it already, They're like, you turn up and there's two CDJs and two like SL1200s and a mixer, and you're like, well, no, but the DJ's coming on after you. Right, so where am I going to put my stuff? So, like, basically, this has morphed out of, like, me, like having this dream of having a separate table where I can put the equipment. And, like, this basically, it works in that way. And there are things that are going to change, I'm sure. But, like, from now, I mean, like, how it works, everything so far has kind of fit into place, you know, like I've used like sync boxes and stuff like that. In fact, I've got a few like, you know, like the rolling sync box, and I've got another thing that I got in Berlin, which has like manual different clocks. You can change different things, and there is some modular things that actually I was looking at that are pretty small, that, you know, you could basically, if you could power them without the, you know, the power thing that you have in a modular thing, I would do that. One of the really important things is like triggers. It's like in the old days, I used to use 2 SH101s connected up to a TR-808 drum machine, and like I would use the trigger outs on the back. You know, there's a hand clap, cowbell, and an AC trigger, I think, on the back. So like I used to connect 2 SH101s up to the 808, which is great, because then, like, you know, I mean, I could show you on here actually the process that I used to use for writing then. What I would do, if you could imagine that this was an SH101 and that was an TR-808, so like what I would do in the old school days I would have two of these triggers, like going into 2 different, you know, one into one machine, one into the other, and basically I would go to the trigger mode on the drum machine. Well, let me just turn the TVO free now. So I would have like maybe the drum machine. I'll just try and keep that really simple, so it's just got the beat going. Where's the B line on that? Oh, that's better. So that's going, yeah. I'll turn this down a little. Right, okay, and then there's a thing on here, I don't know if you can see that, it's called a sequencer, and you basically, I would type in maybe 10 different, or let's just keep it to 8, right? Do 9 and right, okay, and then on the drum machine, I would write in the actual triggers. So this is acting as CV in a way, and that's acting as gate. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I mean, like before I even knew about MIDI, I found out there was this thing called CV and gate. But anyway, so like what I would do is like on the drum machine, there is a tap button, or you could actually step right. Usually because like you're on the fly, I would like maybe just tap out 8 things, but in a rhythm. And then like, that would be the kind of like throwing the paint at the canvas in a way. I don't know if I'm explaining anything that anyone can understand.
Yeah, we're with you. Each trigger is moving the sequence along one step, yeah?
Yeah. Basically, it should be, what I'll do, I'm going to add in a hand clap. So we know we've got that, so we're on the groove. And take this slide off. And then with that, I would like basically, that would be the basis, and then I would add some other like groove from the other sampler, the other keyboard.
It's been totally awesome hearing you talk, man.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
So a guy called Gerald.